Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We got another depth chart to take a look at, and this is a team that we've spent a ton of time talking this offseason, and that's the Clemson Tigers. And this is not the flashiest team heading into the ACC this year, right? There's a lot of hype around Florida State, and rightfully so. I am very high on what Florida State can do in the ACC this year, but don't forget about the Clemson Tigers and the amount of talent that they have coming back. And there are a few names on this depth chart that are kind of surprising that I want to get into now. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys, especially the Clemson fans, whether we're talking recruiting, whether we're taking deep dives into the offense or defense. The support from you guys truly does mean a lot. So one, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We just broke down that Clemson Duke game a couple weeks ago. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. More importantly than subscribing to the channel, though, please let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What were your big takeaways? At the end of the day, the best part about doing this is talking ball, learning from you guys in the comment section. So appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And let's get into this. And I want to start with the offensive line. And this is a group that, if you have listened to me talk about this Clemson team all summer long, this is a quietly really, really good group. It finally feels like this is the year for this Clemson offensive line. In 2021, we saw Clemson come out against Georgia and just not look physically there. They had a lot of young guys on the offensive line. They took a really nice step in 2022. Now they're returning a lot of these guys back. Only Jordan McFadden, really the one guy not coming back. This could be a really good group in 2023. And you take a look at their starting five. I think on the inside, you knew what your starters were, and you're feeling really good about it, right? Walker Parks, Will Putnam, Marcus Tate. That's a really good three set of players on that interior offensive line. I'd argue that you have some nice depth in there too. Ryan Lincecum at that center position. At the tackle spot, Blake Miller, the surprise true freshman. He looked really good as a true freshman. You're expecting him to take that step. And then the last part is you got a nice little left tackle battle with Tristan Lee and Colin Sadler, which I didn't really have on my bingo card. I kind of just thought Tristan Lee had that left tackle spot locked up. And although I do think he's going to be trotting out with the ones, I think that's a really good sign that Clemson is giving the org designation, because what does that tell you? They feel pretty good about what Colin Sadler can do. And if we know anything about offensive lines in college football, it is really important to be entering a college football season, whether it's in 2023 or 2018, with having guys that you feel comfortable trotting out more than just five guys, right? Having 8-9 guys that you're comfortable having to play if you need to. That's massive to start a college football season. And I think Clemson is there. But again, what I'd focus on is you're looking at a lot of guys who are still young, and they're kind of like nearing that development cycle where this is the year they're putting it together. Will Putnam, Marcus Tate, Blake Miller, and Tristan Lee, I expect them to take massive jumps from what you saw in the 2022 season. I think this Clemson offensive line is going to be good, and I'm really excited to see what this run game can look like. And I know a lot of people associate Garrett Riley with throwing the ball all around the yard. Don't get it twisted. You go back and watch TCU, like they wanted to run the football. They ran the football at an extremely high level. You have a really, really dynamic quarterback in K. Klubnik. I think one of the better backfields in the country. This could be a Clemson team that runs the football in a meaningful way. Now, I do want to talk about the pass catchers first before we dive into the quarterback and running back positions. This is a position group that we've kind of spent a decent amount of time talking about, asking for these guys to step up. And like we talked about with the offensive line, I think you're seeing these young wide receivers going into year 2 or going into year 3, and you're going to see maybe a potential breakout year. Now, starting with Antonio Williams, who already has bursted on the scene. He could be a guy that was like a true freshman that was a pleasant surprise. I think he could be that dude for the Clemson Tigers in 2023. And I would like to shout out really quick Tyler Brown, the true freshman, who apparently is making some serious strides during camp. You saw Antonio Williams become like a true freshman that Clemson can rely on. Tyler Brown might be that storyline kind of guy in the 2023 season. Bo Collins, knock on wood, he's healthy, because I really do think has a lot of juice to him. And I would also throw in Adam Randall and maybe even Cole Turner. Adam Randall's a guy that I can't wait to see him fully healthy as well. And what you're seeing here is kind of a nice mix of guys for Clemson. You have like your slot guys in Antonio Williams who are going to be able to create separation. And then you got your big body dudes, Adam Randall and Bo Collins, who can work that boundary, a little bit more of a bigger physical presence. I like how this wide receiver room shakes out. I like the players in the room. Now it's time for them to take that step. And I would like to mention Jake Bringenstool too, who, and this is no knock on a guy like Austin Davis last year, but I think Jake Bringenstool offers a little bit more juice in terms of being a dynamic athlete working that middle of the field. So overall pass catchers, you feel pretty good about. And there's not many surprises on this depth chart. Like if you were to ask me 2 months ago, 3 months ago, it'd be Adam Randall, Antonio Williams, and Bo Collins. I think what you're excited about is that you have a guy like Cole Turner earning that OR designation. That's telling you that he's continuing to make strides going into his redshirt freshman year. And then Tyler Brown. At the quarterback position, the only surprise I think would be that you don't see the true freshman on that list, but Cade Klubnik stays healthy. He's your quarterback one. And then it's not a surprise that they list Will Shipley and Phil Maffa with the OR designation, but I don't think Clemson fans, like, don't get it twisted. Will Shipley is the running back one. He'll be on the field, I would think, most of the time, especially in this Garrett Riley offense that's predicated in space. I think it's a match made in heaven. And I've said this all summer. Will Shipley combined with this Garrett Riley offense, really excited to see how they use Will Shipley because I do think he's one of the more dynamic running backs in the country. And I think like his talents the last 2 years wasn't really used in terms of what his player, how he can impact the game. I think Garrett Riley is much more likely to use him in that dynamic way. But Phil Maffa, like you talk about a physical presence, Phil Maffa is going to give you that. So I really do like how the running back room shakes out. And I'm not necessarily surprised that you see the OR designation. Now on the defense, there's a little bit more surprises, and you got to start with the true freshman Peter Woods. And I'll say this: am I surprised that Peter Woods gets the OR designation with Tyler Davis and Ruocco on the inside? Yes, because Tyler Davis and Ruocco could have been day 2 picks had they wanted to go to the NFL draft. They come back. Dabo Swinney and this defensive staff are telling me Peter Woods is OR designation with Tyler Davis and Ruocco. That's telling you Peter Woods is pretty damn good. And he's listed above guys like Peyton Page on the depth chart. Peter Woods is a known name for the Clemson fans because they follow recruiting. You're kind of in tune with the fall camp practice notes. If you're just an ACC fan or a college football fan, you probably don't know the true freshman's name, Peter Woods. Yeah, I do because I'm a kind of a recruiting nerd. Peter Woods, I think, could be that dude who breaks out as a true freshman, not only in the ACC, but across the country. Because what you're hearing out of fall camp, what you saw from the spring game, this dude looks different and he's going to be a playmaker. And you seeing that OR designation means Peter Woods got that game. Now, Xavier Thomas just stays healthy. Not a guy in the country I'm rooting for more than Xavier Thomas. All the injuries that he's battled, all the adversity that he's battled, coming in from high school, being kind of a 5-star crown jewel of the class. Really hoping Xavier Thomas can stay healthy and put it together. And I could say a lot of the same things for Justin Mascoll, who you probably don't have. I mean, Xavier Thomas is about as talented as it gets, but you probably don't have a Miles Murphy coming in. That being said, I do think Xavier Thomas, if he puts it together, can provide that elite edge rush that you're losing with a guy like KJ Henry or Miles Murphy. At the linebacker spot, this is not a surprise in the slightest. Jeremiah Trotter, Barry Carter. Now, I don't think you'll see much of Wade Woodez unless he's being rotated in with Trotter and Barry Carter, because I do think their base will be with that nickel, and that's where my next surprise is. Andrew Makuba, moving from that safety spot, will be playing that nickel position, and I think this is a product of trying to get the best 11 players on your defense, and you don't want a guy like Jalen Phillips or RJ Mickens not being able to play because you need to play Andrew Makuba in the back end. Andrew Makuba, a healthy Andrew Makuba, which you saw as a true freshman, is one of the better players in the ACC. Last year, dislocated elbow, sprained MCL. That dude was playing with like half a body last year. Andrew Makuba, I love him coming in the box, my take on the nickel defender position. It's a vastly important position in college football. Arguably, in some defenses, the most important position on a defense. Getting Andrew Makuba closer to the line of scrimmage, letting him be closer to the football, letting him impact the game a little bit more. I really do like that because you have a really good safety duo with Jalen Phillips and RJ Mickens who've played a lot of football. At the cornerback spot, Moderately surprised, and I think this is subject to change. I'm not surprised by Nate Wiggins. You guys, if you guys have listened to me all summer, you know I am a Nate Wiggins guy. A little bit surprised that Sheridan Jones held on to that cornerback spot. I would expect Torino Pride Jr. and Jaden Lucas to continue to make a run. Obviously, they're still young, going into their second year. If those guys take those steps, and this is not a knock on Sheridan Jones. This is a guy that's played a lot of football for Clemson, has played a lot of football at a high level for Clemson. That being said, I think the ceiling, if Jaden Lucas or Torino Pride Jr. kind of put it together, I think is better than Sheridan Jones. And I like that combination. Like if Torino Pride Jr. and Jaden Lucas are not quite ready yet going into their second year, you got a really good player in Sheridan Jones. But come week 3, come week 4, come week 5, come week 6, if Torino Pride and Jaden Lucas put it together, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those kind of overtakes Sheridan Jones in terms of being that starter opposite Nate Wiggins, who I think could be a first-round NFL draft pick. So my overall takes on this depth chart is, one, don't forget about the Clemson Tigers. Like this is still a top 10, top 12 team entering in the year with the ceiling. If this offense comes together, if some of the young guys in the back end come together, to be one of the better teams in college football. And I've been kind of saying it all summer long. It's not the sexiest team heading into the 2023 season because Florida State, there is so much to like about what Florida State has coming back, what they did in the transfer portal, but Dabo Swinney and the culture that he has put together over the last decade at Clemson, this is a very, very good team. And it's a strong culture. And it's a team that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but I think we'll be talking a lot about at the end of November when we're talking about the college football playoffs. So for me, really excited. I think they got some young guys on this depth chart that could really take a step up. Cannot wait to see them open up against Duke. We're going to come on and talk about that after the game because that is one of the biggest storylines in college football is if this offense can come together, like you're still looking at a top 10, top 15 defense. Don't get that twisted one bit. Very excited for this Clemson Tigers team. Again, appreciate the Clemson fans. You guys have shown a ton of love all summer long. Appreciate y'all. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.